And my name is Taylor Kitchen, and welcome to the Above the Yellow Line live stream yet again on a Thursday night. Good to see you all in the chat as you're rolling in to talk some NASCAR, talk some motorsports, etc. Obviously, I'm not here by myself. I've got Ben Branscombe and Toby Christie joining me tonight. When we bring in our special guest, Andy Jankowiak. So very excited to talk to him in a few minutes. But Toby, I want to talk to you first. You just had back-to-back trips from Daytona to Atlanta, and now you're back for a little bit. How were those?
Daytona was a little rough with the weather. That stressed things out a little bit, but got through all that. It was a short turnaround, got to Atlanta. Luckily, no weather issues of any kind, so that was good. Overall, great racing both weeks, so that was good. And I'm just excited to learn what an ARCA is. That's what I'm here for. I want to know what an ARCA is and what it has done to me. So, yes.
Valid. Ben, our resident ARCA expert over here. I know you're stoked.
Okay, expert's a strong word if we're gonna throw that out there. Casual fan at best. No, I'm very excited for our guest tonight. I've been following Andy for a little bit now, and I think it's really cool. I finally get a chance to talk to him. So
yeah. No, we're very excited to bring him in. And of course, later on in the show, we'll talk about that amazing finish at Atlanta. We'll talk about Daytona maybe a little bit, kind of comparing and contrasting the two super speedway races that we got. And of course, looking ahead to Vegas. And then there's also some NASCAR news to talk about revolving around Dale Jr., some short track stars that are jumping into the NASCAR world as well. We got to talk about and much, much more. But that'll be later on in the second half of the show. We'll have Dom Joseph join us at that point. So thank you all for tuning in. And of course, stick around for the entire show. We want to hear your opinions and your thoughts. So make sure you leave them in the comments. Of course, if you have any questions for Andy when he joins us right in a few minutes, put them in the chat as well with the hashtag Ask Andy. It's just easier for me to see that way. Adam, good to see you. And John, good to see you as well. Fantastic. Well, I mean, I don't think we should wait anymore. I think we should bring in our special guest. Joining us now is Andy Jankowiak from KLAS Motorsports, driving the number 73 in the ARCA Menards series. So, Andy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Well, I feel like we should start with the obvious. Let's talk about Daytona for a second. I mean, what a wild race, first off. The end of the race, I mean, you were in a position where you could win the thing, had a great finish. And then we have this legendary quote. I just want to start off with that. Like, where did that come from? Right off the top of your head? Like, what was that moment like for you?
I don't know. I swear to God, I've never said that before in my life. I've heard the expression "Don't lift before you see God." I think it comes from like sprint car racing, but you know, I wasn't trying to make a TikTok. I swear, I just you know, that was probably the biggest racing moment of my life, and a huge moment for our KLAS Motorsports organization. I mean, career changing, organizational changing potential. You know, to be, you know, we're trying to figure out how to win a race at Daytona in a last lap dash, and you know, me and TJ and the car chief and the crew chief are going over strategies, and all of a sudden it's hi from the Fox booth. It's Phil Parsons. So it was kind of cool. They kind of caught me in the moment there a little bit, and you know, that's just what came from it.
Nice. I also want to ask, are you okay after that hard wreck and hard finish at Daytona? Like, are you fine? Everything feel good?
Oh yeah, no, I was fine. I tried to keep racing.
Nice. Is that the hardest hit you've ever had in a stock car? Or
no, it actually really wasn't too hard of a hit. Really, I mean, we went up in the wall, and I looked up, and I could see the one guy's drive shaft spinning up there. But you know, they build those cars pretty safe. Our car's it's actually an old Jeff Gordon COT car, so they got a lot of extra bars up there. We have the Newman bar in that car, so a lot of protection for the driver. And my KLAS Motorsports team built me a good, safe car. And well, I mean, originally the car, they prepared up a good, safe car. The car was built by Donnie Richardson and Ken Schrader Racing, and you know, originally Hendrick Motorsports. So you know, it's had nothing but good hands on it its whole life. So you know, everything held up like it was supposed to, and the same car will be back in action at Talladega.
Have you seen any additional interest in your program since the TV time you guys had with the quote and everything like that, as far as sponsors?
I'm not allowed. Know if I'm not allowed to say it yet, but we do have a new sponsor for Phoenix. So I'll build the intrigue. So just be staying tuned to KLAS Motorsports and Andy J Racing, and we're gonna have a pretty cool new sponsor for Phoenix. I don't know that that's a direct. It's certainly a company that we've been talking to, and it's a company that our team owner Kevin Lapierre has been talking to and involved with. So um, certainly was a little bit in the making, but they certainly saw what we had going on for a buzz, and it certainly made them more excited to jump on board with us, and just makes it all that much better for sure.
I think
Nice.
something that's very impressive about your program, I know when it's ARCA, it's always like, the Venturini team and everything like that, but your equipment, you're consistently in the top 10. You're fighting for a great position, fighting for and contending for leads. I mean, talk about the work that goes on behind the scenes to get those results, working with TJ, working with Andy.
Yeah, certainly. TJ Majors. I'm glad you said that because such a huge part of it. And I actually go over to his house every once in a while. And we play on the simulator, and just the stuff those Cup guys do to prepare for this stuff, and the data they have is just incredible. So he's a huge asset for sure. And a lot of times he's driving the car just as much as I am with those binoculars up there. He's unbelievable. He'll know if I miss the line by an inch. I don't. It's incredible. He knows things I can't even tell sometimes. But so he's a huge asset. But right from the get go, when when I first got into this, I bought that car from Kenny Schrader, and it was only going to be one race, and everything that came after that just became what you know I was able to tap a really good crew chief with Mike Dayton, and he came to Daytona with us, and we had some success there, and I had a ton of help from Andy Seiss at that first race, and he kept helping me along, and we were able to just keep this together long enough that Mr. Kevin Lapierre, the guy that had the vision for KLAS Motorsports and what it become, kind of saw what we were doing with what we had, and came on board and wanted to kind of tie it all together and put something together and put stuff behind us that we could go win races with. So to me, it's certainly the support of our team owner Kevin Lapierre, but I think it's just having really good people around, with Mike Dayton and Andy Seiss and TJ Majors and my uncle Jake and everyone from the Buffalo crew side of it. There's just a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I think what really brings us together more than anything, and I say this from the heart, and hopefully from the driver's seat, is like we're all racers. We are like Andy Seiss, Mike
Mhm.
Dayton. They know everything about the NASCAR side of it, and everyone on from that comes down from my modified team, they know kind of the more modified stuff, and Kevin Lapierre, he's on the ownership side, but each and every one of us come from a short track racing background, and we're just racers, and I think that we all kind of have that same ambition. We're all doing it for a very similar reason, and I think that's what ties it all together, and I think that's what keeps us, maybe running a little bit better than we were supposed to be in our second year. And, because like I say, we're doing it to go win races. So it's just a good group.
It definitely it's cool to it's cool. It's been cool to see kind of your growth and stuff, and talk about what it's just meant to you. I know everyone knows the story. There was a guy they talked about you on the Fox broadcast when you first ran Daytona about he's a pizza delivery driver and he does this on the side and he has fun with it. Talk about what it's kind of been this like I don't want to call it a rise to stardom, but like this exponential growth and like people knowing your name.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I'd like to tell you that, I'm the smartest guy in the world, and I knew what I was doing. But the truth is I just I just got lucky. I took a couple chances early on, but there were so many people that have come along the way that I never envisioned being a part of this. That just, when I hit a wall, they helped me get to that next step. And I've mentioned the obvious ones, with Kevin and Mike and Andy and all those guys, but like Ted Marsh coming along from, and everybody at Wheelan that jumped on board there pretty quick, and he helped me get to Watkins Glen, and then Wheelan became a sponsor, and um just little stuff along the way. Just Todd and Jody from Florida Safety, they came on board pretty quick, and now they're one of our biggest sponsors, and Bill from Automotive Consultants, he came on board the first year, and now that, they're on for every race, and Bob from Yukon Creek and Planter Box, and just all the little stuff. We got the very first race I went to Daytona, I asked my friend if he would, give me a good deal on a set of on stickers for the car. My buddy Justin Gumley does vinyl, and he said, yeah, I'm going to take care of this. I want to see my vinyl on a car at Daytona. Now he does the vinyl as a sponsorship for every race that we go to, for like 20 races. It's just stuff that, when I did take that first leap to get that first car, I never envisioned how many people were going to, follow me down this path. And that's became, the magic that it became. And, certainly, like I say, I think I just got lucky.
It's part
You
of it, man.
mentioned
Just luck.
the racing background and, your parents raced. What was it like growing up in a household of, having both your parents race? Was there competition? And do you feel like you took after one of their driving styles?
I definitely took after both my dad's and my uncle's driving styles. And, I think my dad was the hard charger, and my uncle was he was the smart, savvy racer. And I think on a given night, I could be either. So, my dad once in a while would probably kind of go a little bit too hard, make the bonehead move. And I've been known to do that once in a while. And then there's other days where, I can put it all together, and, I look like I know what I'm doing out there. So I think that's a little bit of both of them. And I'm just blessed to have both of them. And certainly my mom was, she was around it for her whole life with, my dad, and then my uncle was her brother, and then she raced. She was the only female to win at Lancaster. And, she took me to all my races early on with my go-karts and all that. And she would always watch everything I did, and she's not afraid to this day. She'll come over after the race, and she'll know what's bugging me, and she'll know what to tell me, what to do differently next time if I made a mistake out there. So she watches it, she sees it, she understands it. So certainly a big racing family.
And how huge is that for you to have those people that understand where you're coming from in those situations where things maybe aren't going your way?
Yeah, no, like I said, I've grown up around it, right? I've got, certainly my Uncle Jake, if he's missed 5 races in my entire life, I'd be surprised, so, and now he's changing tires for me on the ARCA. He's over the wall for the ARCA car now, wearing the helmet and changing tires. And, he was at my first go-kart race. So, just a huge wealth of experience, and everyone on my team, certainly, like I said, I keep mentioning all the guys from KLAS Motorsports, Andy and Mike, and, they're both have all the experience they have. But, even back home in Buffalo, the guys working on my modifieds, we got my jack guy on the ARCA cars, Ricky Hochter. He raced for 40 years. And, we got my buddy, Jimmy Granitz. He was a championship winning crew chief on the modifieds. And, my buddy Mark Buckley goes to all the ARCA races, and he does, he's been involved with my uncle's car, my dad's car, my hero Carl Harris car, in so many different aspects of racing. And if you add it all up, I mean, going to those ARCA races, just, race car experience wise, there's no team there that has, more laps in short track racing than our KLAS Motorsports team does cumulatively. And you'll never win that argument with me. There's no way. There's no one that's even close. We are a group of racers. We all have different backgrounds. We all have our different ways, and, we're, a little bit different in each way. I might have some duct tape on my car, and Andy Seiss might have a little bit more chrome, but, we both want to, go to that racetrack and win. So it's a really cool group. I think that it's, and like I said, I think that's why we maybe, overperform our age a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask specifically about the modified program. So I'm more of I follow the modifieds a little bit, but I follow the Southern Tour or the Smart Mods just a little bit more because that's where my region is. Talk about your walk-off win at South Boston last year. That was pretty incredible for a lot of people, even myself. I wasn't expecting it. You just showed up and showed off in big ways. So.
Yeah, so that's our home built modified. And sorry, I had to walk to a charger here. I was getting nervous. That's our home built modified. And That's the car we won the Race of Champions with, and we sort of struggled with it for a little bit there, and we were starting to kind of get the hang of it towards the end of the year. And I said, what the heck, let's go to one more race. And just for whatever reason, we went there. We had a brand new set of shocks on that from Sly Sesbin. And man, that thing just hooked up. We were just on rails that day, and the cards fell our way. And we got lucky there a little bit on that last restart, or else we probably would have been second. And it felt good to get a win down there. So that was a cool deal. We're looking forward to getting back down there with the Smart Tour for sure. But I say that, and then we went to Turkey Derby, and I felt like we backed it up with a lot of speed over there too. We were in the hunt there in the end. So I don't know. I got a lot of good things going on for me. We had a really good season with the indoor auto racing series. We were able to win a race over at Atlantic City, and we're in the hunt Daytona, and the modified's going fast, and I don't know. I'm just trying to enjoy it, take it all in, and I don't know. It's hard to do this stuff. It really is. I've had a lot of years where you feel like you can't get anything right, and you keep tripping over yourself, and I've had a lot of stretches like that, so I know how hard it is, and it's never lost on me. These moments are fleeting, and you never know how long they're going to last. So, but certainly it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of good people.
Nice. Yep, between Phoenix that you're going to be at in a few weeks, and all these series that you're racing, and then delivering pizza on top of that, how do you keep up with all of this? Like, to be quite honest, it sounds like so much.
Well, I think it finally caught up to me. I came down with a cold the last day. I think my body just finally gave up. So I actually, this is probably like the first time in like a year. I actually haven't left the house yet. I'm trying to tell myself I'm going to go to the shop after this for at least a couple hours, because I don't think I've done this in like a year, but we'll see. So it might be catching up with me a little bit doing those long days. But now, like it's a lot of help from family at home, keeping up with stuff. I was in North Carolina between North Carolina and Florida for the last 23 days. I just got back. So I'm texting the guys back home. They're flip-flopping motors around in the modified and getting everything ready for that. And then the Sportsman modified. And, I'm doing all that through text message, texting those guys while I'm helping the guys in North Carolina. And it's just all hands on deck. Everybody that jumps in and helps me just is willing to do all that. And it's a lot more work than it is fun sometimes. You see the fun on Facebook, and you don't see us, sitting at the shop till 1 or 2 in the morning when, I know like my buddy Ricky Hochter, he's 67 years old and he's got to go to work at 7, but he knows I'm trying to go to a race. So he'll stay with me at the shop till 1 or 2 in the morning and, take a nap on his lunch break just to make sure we get there. So it takes all of that. It's not always fun. And, there's nights where you come home beat up and sore, and you just don't know what the heck you even do it for. And then, you go out and you win a race like Atlantic City and you party till 6:30 in the morning, and it's all worth it. So, ebbs and flows, but like I say, it's an adventure. And I think everybody that follows me, that helps me, that's donating their time for this and volunteering and just doing whatever they can do to just make this work is, they see that it's an adventure, and then, they signed up for it. So it's something we all do together. It's something that we enjoy together, and the highs and the lows. And when it's bad, we get through it. And when it's fun, it couldn't be any better.
And heading back to the ARCA race at Daytona, by the way, towards the end there was a little bit of controversy on how Augustine pulled the win off. He agreed to his teammate. He would do a teammate restart, chose not to do that in his own mind. From your perspective as a driver, is that fair or foul? Would you tell a teammate over a radio that, yeah, you're going to do something, and then do the complete opposite?
I'm not going to. I wasn't on that radio chatter. I certainly could tell they put the leader in front of me, so I knew that was going to be the plan, or what they were planning. I was suspicious that anybody for the Daytona 500, or not 5, our win at Daytona would, back off on the last lap. That I was very suspicious of that from the get-go. So No, I mean, to me, if it was, me and Andy Seiss, we were joking around about it in the shop. I patted him on the shoulder. I said, if it comes down to me and you at the last lap at Daytona, I'm going to race you no matter what I say, I promise. So, I guess I'll just, leave that with that and, not comment too much because, who knows, but, yeah, it was a weird deal. I was suspicious that was going to go differently. It's kind of funny because when I think back about my quote and even the comments after, and it was sort of like I was in my own mind space at that point, because we're getting ready for this race, and I don't have my PR hat on, so I think I was just probably more honest than I probably would usually be in a moment like that. But if you really listen to it, I was kind of saying we're all out for ourselves right now, and it's sort of ironic that even the teammates are kind of out for themselves. So maybe there's an air of truth.
I want to ask, what's it like being so damn cool, man? Like,
I'm not that cool,
dude. I don't like the vibes you give off right now. You're cool as hell. I gotta say it. Like,
no,
you just,
I'm not that cool. I'm really not. I talked my barber into like shaving this part of my head, so I got a little mullet thing going on right now, and I wear a bandana. But I am not that cool.
well, like,
I don't know. I think the people that have followed me for this long, they, like I was talking before about following your dreams and chasing the adventure, and I think a lot of the people that follow us on social media and get a kick out of what we do just kind of see that we are on this crazy adventure, and we're living our dreams and chasing it and giving it everything we've got. And we get a little bit further, and we get to a point we didn't think we could get to, and then it's like, okay, what do we do now? We just keep going. I never thought I could win a race like the Gamblers Classic, and then we did that. And I never thought I could race at a track like Daytona, and we did that. And now it's, now we're trying to figure out how to win an ARCA race, and build a team that is KLAS Motorsports and an organization kind of around everything that we got going on, and seeing all the promotional stuff and everything that goes behind it, and everything that the KLAS side's doing with Kevin LaPierre. They were just sending me pictures of an office space that they're doing with all these pictures of the race cars and wallpaper, and it blows my mind how big it's all gotten. And I think that I think that's what people kind of get a kick out of, is just chasing the dream and following us on this big adventure we're on.
cool,
Well, that's
man.
awesome. That's so
It's
cool.
a cool story.
It's a great story, and you all are well on your way to getting that win. I mean, with the consistency and just the hype around it too. I mean, yeah, we're excited for your team for sure. I want to get to some questions we had in the comments real quick. Let's see. We have James asks, what are your realistic goals for 2024? Whether it's ARCA or just racing in general, like what are you hoping to achieve? Are there certain races you're hoping to win? What's on the docket for you this year?
Certainly, I knew that indoor season was far enough ahead that I could, the ARCA season, that I could put a good focus in on that. But I knew once the ARCA season got here, we're going to put a pretty, especially me as a driver, I'm going to put a pretty heavy emphasis on giving everything I got to the ARCA program, and making sure that, Kevin LaPierre and Andy Seiss having so much faith in me to be driving for this program, that I'm going to give them the best driver that I can be, and I've actually, I told you I've been home all day. I've been playing around in the simulator. I've been watching old races, and, just working on Phoenix stuff. So it is a good chance to kind of work on stuff like that. So there's a lot of little stuff that, to really go win an ARCA race, you really got to be doing the little stuff. And there's a lot to be learned, and certainly having Andy Seiss in my ear a little bit more, over the last year has been really opened my eyes to some of the things that other guys that I'm racing against are doing. And it's I kind of, I guess maybe I'm too much of a racing purist, but sitting on a video game never really sparked my interest. I couldn't picture Dale Earnhardt on an iRacing simulator rig, right? So I was never really, no, like, I'm gonna go out there and just be a badass race car driver, and I'm just gonna hit the gas, and we're just gonna go win races. And when you start getting your butt kicked because some 20-year-old kid knows how to, drive up on the right side of you and side draft you, and you don't even know what the heck just happened, and I got Andy Seiss in my corner saying that's because he sits on the simulator for 20 hours and practices that. And TJ Majors is, right there to teach me. So, that's the little stuff that you got to start doing. And that's going to be the difference between, being a fifth place car and being a third place car. And on days where we're third place car, it might get me a win. So that's the little stuff that, we're going to scrutinize and work on this year. And that's really where I want my focus to be, is getting everything I can get out of myself and being the best race car driver I can be as far as being prepared.
This question is a little out of left field, but I think it's fun. What kind of music do you enjoy listening to, and what artists do you like?
I am all over the place. My favorite band of all time is REM. So
Okay.
on my most sacred races, those are like, if you see me before an indoor race, I got the earbuds in. I'm always grinding my race tires outside in the snow, and I usually got REM on. But definitely a range. I am a follower of the Eminem, music life of him and everything he sings about. So it just kind of depends on my mood. I'm probably a pretty big range. Maybe some Bob Dylan, Leonard Skinner. I'm probably a little bit of an old soul with some of that stuff, but the same breath I tell you I listen to Eminem. So I like music that tells a story. I like music that has something behind it. I like stuff like that. So it's got to have a little soul behind it.
I feel like I should ask this too. Taylor Swift fan, like her music a little bit? Maybe not. Her music has some of a story behind it sometimes.
I respect the fact that she performs her own music. She sings her own songs. She plays instruments, and I think that it's harder for, people outside of that generation to identify maybe with their music, because it's, a little bit softer, and she's not my iPod, but I certainly, I respect that she's one of the musicians that's out there doing it the way musicians have always done it. Because there's a lot of acts that you can go to where it's going to be, lip syncing, and they probably never held a guitar in their lives. So a lot of respect for Taylor Swift and everything she does for the community she plays with.
Love that answer. Love it. Last question from our chat. What's your favorite track and your most memorable win? A little bit of a loaded question.
I got to go with, like, my favorite track's got to be Lancaster, because the coolest track in the entire planet is 20 minutes from my house. So I love Holland Speedway too. We have the two best tracks, I think, in anywhere. Just side by side, exciting racing. So many memories over there. Most memorable win, I win the Race of Champions was cool. It's probably one of the two times I cried in the car, but winning the Gamblers Classic for the first time, just because I got my butt kicked in it for so many years, and we were so close, and we did it with a home built car, and that first time we won the Gamblers Classic was pretty cool. So I don't know. I've had a career full of awesome memories, so it's hard to pick one. So I'm lucky in that way, like usual.
Nice.
Ben, Toby, any closing questions?
I do have one closing remarking question. So I have friends that live in Buffalo, and they're talking me into going up for the modified race at Lancaster. Why should I go?
You talking about the tour race?
Yeah, the tour race on August.
It's funny because I usually don't end up in that race. It's the coolest track, man. It really is. There's just no way to describe it till you get there. It's so the original track was an oval, and they ran alongside of a drag strip. So at some point in the eons of Lancaster, they decided, hey, why don't we just extend the oval out onto the drag strip? So the track's kind of shaped like a Charlotte shape, and you come out on the drag strip. The drag strip's got this tacky stuff, so you hit the drag strip and it rips the wheel out of your hands, and the left front hits the ground, then it comes back down. Then as you drive up and over the drag strip is about 6 feet from the grandstand. So if you're walking to go get popcorn, you are all of 3 or 4 feet away from a modified traveling at 120 miles an hour. with, you know, a little bit of concrete and the fence between you. So I don't even, I don't know. It's just the coolest place. It's the coolest vibe. You know, there's a ton of fans there. It's great side-by-side racing, just a ton of history. I could bleed your entire podcast down telling you about Lancaster stories, and you don't want that. But it's just fun. It's just a great place. And when the races are done, we're going to be partying in the pits till 2 a.m. And it's just a good vibe.
Okay, I'll make sure to swing by there then.
See, now I feel like I have to go too. Ben, let's make it a trip.
Coolest track. No one's ever gone there and told me I was wrong after. It's the coolest.
I'll reach back out in August then.
There you go. Andy, what's the wildest thing you've seen as a pizza delivery guy? Like I've seen crazy TikToks of people getting frustrated if an order is late, and I've just seen like weird stuff all the time. So what's the craziest thing you think you've seen in your pizza delivery days?
You want the real story? I don't know. I did get robbed once. You know.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
That was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been at it so long. I don't even know. I wasn't ready for that question. You know, certainly getting that one night, I was lucky with that night. Everything was okay, but I did get robbed once when I was younger. So, but it's always a colorful cast of characters. I think the fun part about the job is just I've been there so long now. I sort of have relationships with a lot of the customers, so you just end up chatting with people and you make some friends. And sometimes it's people that don't have a lot of friends. So, you know, people that can't drive and this, that, and the other, they might be cooped up and they might not get too many people to talk to. So you spend a lot of your day just kind of making friends with people and chit-chatting a little bit, and then you get to come back and see them again the next day. So, you know, I love my job. Wouldn't trade it for nothing.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Okay, I do have one last question now. What is your daily driver, and do you use that daily driver on the pizza route?
My daily driver, I have a 2001 Ford Focus. Her name is Lola.
Okay.
So I ended up with this car, right? I was gonna buy it for my stepdaughter when she got her permit or got her license. This is gonna be her car. I bought this thing. It was relatively cheap, and it's a little red Ford Focus, and it had these emblems on the back. And it's all chrome. It has Lola, and it has a girl with a devil on one side, and the other side's a girl with a halo on the other side for like each shoulder. And darn it, if my daughter just didn't wait a year and a half to go take her road test, and whatever I was driving, I think I had a Chevy Aveo, the engine blew up, and that was it. I took Lola. So Lola's been with me to Daytona and back, travels all over the place. So it's a good set of wheels.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, Andy, we greatly appreciate your time and for joining us and, you know, sharing all your stories. And we wish you the best of luck this season.
I appreciate it. You guys can have me back on anytime. It's fun chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome back whenever you want. Just give us a ring.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
That was Andy Jankowiak, ARCA Menards Series driver that just joined us. What a rad guy. I feel like rad's the right word I got to use here.
Yeah, that took lots of turns, and I think we learned a lot of cool things along the way.
Honestly.
Ending off on learning that he got robbed. That's
crazy. Who would rob Andy Jankowiak? What the heck?
Yeah. I mean, he looks like he'd kick your butt. Like,
right?
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, we will
Cool
go
guy.
on with the show. We'll bring in, we're almost a full house tonight. We don't have Rob, but we have Adam Lucas and Dom Joseph joining us. Hello,
Wow,
gentlemen.
it is a full house, basically.
It pretty much is. Look at us. Full screen. Wow. Let's jump into a conversation about Atlanta. I know it's towards the end of the week. Everyone's probably all Atlanted out, but we'll talk about it briefly because one, Toby, you were there. Two, that was an incredible finish to the race. Right? Toby, seeing that in person, like, what was your takeaway from that? Like, what was the media center like? Because that's my thought process was like, oh my God, everyone has to be going nuts.
Yeah. So by the time it all started transpiring, I wasn't in the media center anymore. I was kind of setting up on pit road to be ready for the post race practice and whatnot. And from there, it was crazy. Like just the people that were sitting on pit road, fans that were watching it from the big screen, like their reaction was insane. Like nobody knew who won. I thought Blaney won. So that was my original tweet. I was like, okay, well, Blaney just won this race. And I was like, wait, they showed the replay. I was like, wait, was it Suarez? I think Suarez might have won. It was wild. The fans in attendance, like you expect like this huge like roaring, like wow, that was, but they're all just like stunned. They didn't know what was happening. Nobody knew who won, and it was more of a okay, what just happened? So, and then the moments after when it was okay, this is what happened. Then there was the thunderous applause and just crazy reaction. But it was wild. It was a really, really awesome race. And when Cindric put him 4 wide there with like 50 laps to go, I for one didn't think it was going to work. And for two, I cannot believe they were able to drive through there for a few laps like that. That's just crazy.
Yeah, the 4 wide move. That was insane. I texted you right after the race and I was like, I can't believe that worked. I mean, I would say, and I think Dom, you and I talked about this too, but that was I think most aggressive I'd seen Austin Cindric race in a long time. Like he looked like he was primed and ready to win the race. And that's something we hadn't seen from him the past few seasons. I mean, of course he won the Daytona 500 a few years ago, but he was in contention. That's a big deal.
Yeah, this was an Austin Cindric that made me think back to when he won the Xfinity Championship and the year he defended it in 2021. You could kind of tell, I mean, we haven't seen him with a car that competitive in a while, which has kind of been the case for Team Penske. Yes, I know they won the championship, but a lot of last year was the question mark of where has Team Penske been? And that was an excellent race for Austin Cindric. I know Logano had arguably the best car, got wrecked out. Blaney was up there all day, but it was refreshing to see that 2 car right in the mix and not afraid to stir the pot, like going to that 4 wide move. Everyone's in the 2 lanes and he says, I'm going to ride the wall because the car sticks. So that was awesome to see for him. It's going to build his confidence knowing he can race with these guys, and now they've got to take him seriously. So just an excellent day for the 2 team. And for a guy who's kind of been questioning the future of his ride with the team, regardless of who his family is and his involvement with the team, that has to be excellent for him.
For sure. And I want to throw it to Adam too, because talking about the whole weekend, besides the Cup race, we also had some, I would consider them great races, a different tale a little bit with Truck and Xfinity, but you were there for both races, correct?
The doubleheader, yes.
Doubleheader. So, from your perspective and just watching the Cup race too on Sunday, like talk about kind of the differences that we saw there. And even too, like if there was anything that you noticed with Atlanta, because you were even talking about the surface and how it it already seemed to be aging, right?
From just the looks of the track and then seeing what kind of racing product we had, that track has aged significantly, even just since last July's Cup race. And it was very evident with the trucks. We actually had a clean truck race for the first time this year and probably in like the last 5 races going back to last year. But like the whole tone of it was like everyone was driving on ice. No, everyone was a little afraid to even try to make the bottom groove work. Some guys would dart out and like they get a good run past 2 or 3 cars, maybe even 4. But as soon as they come off of either turn 2 or turn 4, it's like a parachute would fly out from behind because they had no help. But yeah, it definitely was not the Cup race. That was its own animal and its own uniqueness. But compared to what I saw it was good. It was different. It wasn't a wreck fest like I was anticipating it to be. So yeah, got a lot of good clean racing. Got a lot of good photos. And yeah,
yes,
good time.
Yeah, the
My
photos were
Xfinity was SVG because he
yes.
had a really rough time at Daytona, and he said he learned so much during that weekend at Daytona with like 7 crashes he was involved in between ARCA and Xfinity, and going to the race. It's like, well, did he really learn a lot, or how's this going to go? Finishes 3rd. I mean, he just kept his composure throughout the entire race, never put himself in a bad position. And when everybody started falling by the wayside with fuel issues there at the end, he was there to pick up the pieces. I was pretty impressed by that run after Daytona.
And
I think I might have been the only person in the grandstand that was screaming their heads off at the end of the race for a 3rd place finish. I was so pumped.
Well, you had like the SVG like merch that you made as well.
The merch, yeah. I did.
I mean, it looked legitimate. It was impressive.
It did. It looked really legit. I'm proud of myself and my creativity, and actually had a couple fans like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" I was like, Google.
So that's the thing I want to talk about too, because like back in the day, like merchandise would be 100% ready to roll when you got to the racetrack for week 1 of NASCAR season. Like you'd always have something for somebody, everybody. So there's nothing available for SVG at this moment. Is that what's going on, or did you just make it just to make it?
I made it just to make it. I just wanted to make it because I didn't have the funds to just buy a bunch of brand new stuff, so I went the cheap route. But they do at the haulers out in the merchandise area outside the track. They have plenty of SVG gear.
Yeah, and Trackhouse's website they do too. But I mean, if you can home make it, go for it.
As long as you're not selling it, hey, you're good.
Yeah.
Saves you a lot of.
You'll get in trouble.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Toby, I also wanted to ask you too, just from being in the garage area, interviewing the drivers, it's particularly in truck, from Daytona to Atlanta. Hopefully the vibe at Atlanta was generally more positive. People were more happy with how the race went.
Yeah. After Daytona, there were a lot of really upset looking people in that garage area in the truck series. So much torn up equipment. It was just bad. You walk through there and there were probably a handful maybe that looked like they were salvageable trucks. You go to Atlanta, totally different story. Everyone was much happier. They're much more pumped up to be getting out of that race unscathed for the most part. There was a little bit of damage here and there, but for the most part, there wasn't the just massive, just wadding up trucks. There was certainly nobody flipping over the field. So a lot more optimism at the end of that race, because you have a really bad race after Daytona. You have more trucks get wadded up there, and you're really getting yourself behind the 8 ball going into the bulk of the schedule at this point. And a lot of those guys use trucks that are at this Atlanta Raceway, even though it feels like it's a super speedway. They use the intermediate trucks there. So that really puts them in a hole going into Las Vegas this week and a bulk of the schedule if they tear up a truck there.
Mm-hmm. And then before we move on, Ben, I know I haven't thrown it to you yet, but do you have any final thoughts revolving around Atlanta?
I have to be honest, I didn't really watch that much of it this week. I was busy, and I wasted my Sunday watching my hocky team lose to Dom's hockey team. So yeah, that's all I have to say at this time.
Never again.
That's okay.
Never again, man. I played myself.
I do have to say I like the dynamic we have going on here. People up top, no hats. People down low, all hats. It's interesting.
I actually did not recognize that.
Team no hat.
Did not.
And then we've got Andy up there in the top corner, kind of hat, kind of not hat with the bandana. So
just being cooler than all of us.
Yeah, just being cool.
He's the boss.
It's so cool. I will say about the truck race, huge shocker with Christian Eckes. Clearly had one of the best trucks, and then brake pedals just going straight to the floor, guys.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's had some abysmal luck, even when he's running well and he's right in position to win these things. He ends up second most of the time. So these super speedway style races just have not been his not been very kind to him.
No, man. And then Kyle Busch gets the win in the 7 truck. I mean, that pretty big deal. But no, that was Christian Eckes' totally to win, and then just didn't happen.
Yeah. So, overall, though, the McAnally trucks were really, really strong. Daniel Dye with the pole, finished top 10 for him. Ankrum was up there all day long, mixing up for the race win. Ultimately made a bad move towards the end, and I think ended up 7th or 8th somewhere in there. So, but a lot of speed for those guys, a lot of speed for the Spire guys. Raja with another good run to start the season. So just really good all the way around for those Chevy trucks. It's been a pretty good start to the season for those guys.
It's been a good 2 weeks for Ankrum.
Yeah. James brings up a good point. Would you rather have no brakes or no roof? We saw something very interesting this weekend. Toby,
as long as there's nobody with no brakes coming at me, I would rather probably take the no roof, maybe.
Yeah, I would probably say no roof seems better than no brakes, because that seems a little.
That would hurt the aero of the car or truck, so I'd take the no brakes.
Fair.
Probably no.
Yeah, that was a whole thing this weekend.
Yeah, that was pretty wild too. I talked to Bailey Curry after the race, and he was like, "It was weird. Like I knew something was wrong. I could kind of feel like they hit a piece of debris early on, which kind of jarred the top of the windshield open a little bit, which is what caused the roof to fly off." But he's like, "Yeah, I started hearing it whistle, and then it got a little bit louder and a little bit louder, and then it was gone."
That's terrifying.
And a bummer for him. He had a heck of a run going too. He felt like he had a shot to win that thing. He was kind of positioning himself there in the top 10 towards the end of that thing, and he was pretty bummed about that happening.
Yeah, it was such a bummer. But I mean, a really weird occurrence, kind of fun for us to see, not for the team at all. But anywho, that's going to lead me a little bit into, speaking of, Atlanta Cup race, whatever, into some news. So we'll get, well, actually, sorry, my bad. Point standings. I should talk about this real quick. I totally forgot this was in here. Brandon, we haven't seen him in a long time on the live stream. He'll have to join us soon, but part of the ATYL point standings, he now has the lead. Ben, you're only 1 point behind. I somehow made a miraculous recovery from last to third. Let's go. Dom 4th, Adam 5th, and then Rob, he did not have a race pick last weekend, so is in last. So we'll go on from there. Of course, race picks, everybody just keep in mind, the ATYL crew, they are due tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So
I already sent mine in.
Perfect. Love it.
As did I. Season's just a puppy. We're getting started.
Good. Yeah, we're good.
It might be young, but I'm already in the basement by 11 points.
We got time. So much time to make it up.
So
Ben,
you guys do a reset for the playoffs, or how does that work?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we do the ATYL version of the chase for the cup.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing picking a race winner gets you locked in. Is that what's happening?
No, we all will make it. It's just the more wins you get, the better you'll be seeded. So if you have like 6 wins, it multiplies by 12 points for each win, gives you a better stock.
Well, hey, throw me in this thing. I'll start this week. How about that?
Honestly, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Why not? I'll take a 2 race handicap. That's fine.
Hey,
there you go.
That's
We
fine.
just need a number and a color, and we got you.
Yeah. 70 and green, please.
70 and green. Beautiful. We got you. Cool.
Sweet.
All right. We'll add you in. And then watch Toby. You're going to win this, Toby.
We'll see. I'm not very good at this stuff. So just when you think I'm an expert, I show you that I'm not when it comes to the picks. So I wouldn't feel too confident about my picks just yet.
We'll see. We'll see. Ben was able to come back from all that you had going on last year to win it.
He won the championship without a freaking spleen. Give this man a gold medal.
That's like
Let's get a tattoo at some point.
Busch-esque.
Yeah, honestly.
In true Kyle Busch fashion.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. Let me see. Where are we going next? Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, the point situation. If you guys want to see that, this is what I was going to get to. So here we are. The points. We had some penalties that we need to talk about. So in terms of point penalties, which is why we have things the way they are right now, the number 41 and the number 10 were assessed with an L1 penalty. Docked 35 driver points and team points. The rail roof deflectors were confiscated Friday before on-track action started for Priest and Gregson, and now they are seated at the bottom of the playoff standings. So kind of picking up where they left off last year with the penalties, which is not a good sign for, I know they really wanted to have a positive momentum going into this season. They had the whole off-season campaign of all that stuff. So here's where we're at. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on this.
So the takeaway I have is that Noah Gregson has a top 10 through 2 starts this season and has negative points on the year.
That's it. Yep.
I mean, that's insane, right?
Yeah. That's nuts.
Only Stuart Ross.
Only Stuart Ross. I feel bad because, otherwise Gregson's done pretty well. It's just, you have these points penalties and you have a hole you got to dig yourself out of, and that's tough. And then just even at the start of the season, mentally, I'm sure that's tough. You're frustrated. You're mad about it. I don't know. I just feel pretty good.
When I talked to Noah at Daytona, he said the big thing for him was getting off to a good start because when he was with Legacy Motor Club last year, he felt getting off to a slow start put him in bad practice groups the rest of the season. And that really kind of got him behind the 8 ball as the year was going on. You're in bad practice groups, which means you end up qualifying slower. You're in the least favorable groups going forward, and it really snowballs from there. So he was very hopeful to get off to a very good start, was very happy with his 9th place finish at Daytona. This obviously sets them back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Luckily for them, it wasn't a single source supplied part, right? So it could have been worse. So there's that, I guess.
Yeah. Look at the positives. That's a positive. So there was a penalty that didn't involve points with Joey Logano, and this is where we'll get into, I think, NASCAR news. There we go. So Joey Logano, before the race, he had to go to the rear of the field for a penalty involving his gloves.
Wow.
And then following the race weekend, he got a penalty for, $10,000? But yeah,
10,000.
the gloves were all weird. Just with the webbing and stuff, which then their speculation was it at Daytona, was it not? I don't know, but
It
genius.
was
It was at Daytona?
Yep. the video showed that
Brayton?
he had it on at Daytona. They just didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
If you ain't trying, you ain't racing.
Yeah.
honestly, I give them kudos. That's very ingenious. Such a small thing that you wouldn't think anything of, but just having that little extra webbing there to put up against the window net helps you that much more aerodynamically is pretty impressive to even think about it, for one.
Yeah.
For two, it was a double layer penalty. So you had the safety aspect, the competition aspect. The penalty pre-race was for the competition side of things, the $10,000 fine, consistent with the head sock penalty that Ryan Newman had last year. That's your safety penalty. So
Yeah.
Wonder
So,
if we'll see like a driver just like during qualifying pull like a half of like a cardboard box and just shove it up against the window. I don't know how many
Be a little easier to catch.
Yeah.
pull some of the door foam out.
Yeah. I mean, like Adam said, though, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You're not winning. So
that was
I mean,
one of the
gotta
more
do it
creative
now.
ways of cheating that I've seen. So that was pretty good.
It's a
Yeah.
very good one.
That is a new one.
Yeah. Let's move on to another piece of news too that came out today. A report from The Athletic that Dale Jr. is leaving NBC and is going to head over in 2025 when the new TV deal starts to Discovery and Prime. According to that report as well from The Athletic, they said that Jr. is going to take a year off of being in the booth and he'll kick it back up in 2025. Obviously, I want to wait till Jr. makes the official announcement, but according to The Athletic, this is what's going down. What are our thoughts about this in general? I mean, a plus for Prime for sure and Warner Brothers. And but I don't know. I know we all kind of have different opinions of Junior in the booth. So
I think it's crucial because a lot of people have been saying, I'm not going to buy a subscription package just to watch NASCAR. But you throw somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr. in there, I think some people that were on the fence about doing it will go, okay, that's Dale Earnhardt Jr. I like Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'll buy it. Yeah, I'll pay $5 or $10, whatever it is. I'll throw an Amazon Prime subscription out there. I'll do it. Sure, why not? So from that aspect of things, I think it's good to kind of hit the ground running for those new services that are coming into the sport.
For sure.
I kind of had a theory about this earlier today, and I think I shared it with our group text. I think a lot of it also has to do with NBC's schedule. Their TV schedule is during playoff time, especially with Xfinity, having an Xfinity team trying not to show bias on the broadcast and also trying to be the team owner. I think that might have played a big factor too, because if Junior can't be completely invested with his team, how are they going to win a championship? Look at the last time they won a championship. I don't believe he was broadcasting yet when Tyler Reddick won the championship, or William. Well, it's been a little while. I'd like to see Junior Motorsports win a championship. Maybe this will get them over that hump. Maybe 2024 is the year Allgaier can close it out at Phoenix if he makes it. Fingers crossed. There still is hope, but according to Dom, those stats are just out the window. But that was my thinking, was maybe it really is just kind of okay, if we got this new TV deal coming, let's refocus through the middle of the season, have a little extra time.
Yeah. It's not about thought process. I was kind of thinking the same thing too. When you brought it up, I was like, that actually kind of makes sense. So that for sure.
Toby
Ben or Dom
makes a great point about this is just another really easy way to get people to just be convinced to buy it, to buy the packages for this, the streaming services for that. I didn't think about that originally. That's a great point. And when I was telling my dad earlier today, along with what Adam said about being a team owner first and focusing on your team when it matters the most, when you're going for a championship, but also you've got to remember Dale Jr.'s got kids. He's got a wife and kids.
Yeah.
This is just even more time he can spend with his family, knowing you're going to have that little summer stretch where you're calling races, and then that's it. And then you can do whatever you want for the rest of the year. And I think back to when I worked Daytona last year, the 500 weekend, and that Xfinity race, Dale Jr. was on the box for the Junior Motorsports team, watching his team work, getting off one box, going to another, being a very hands-on team owner and being dialed into everything that's happening. So as much as I don't know about what Dale Earnhardt Jr. is thinking, none of us do. I've got to believe a lot of him wants to be very hands-on and involved with the team. And maybe that's something he took for granted that he couldn't be there every weekend. So maybe he wants to do that more. Or it could be as simple as, I miss my wife and kids. I want to be with them more often.
Well, the thing I also take away from it too, if you look at the races he typically likes to run in his 1-off, 2-off races per year, they're typically those races that you'll see in the very front part of the year or the very back part of the year with, Homesteads, Bristols, Richmonds, things like that, Martinsvilles. So that's another thing I have just in my thoughts is that opens him up to maybe being able to focus on those starts a little bit more often because he's been very close to winning those races while also being in an announced booth. And if we all know anything from being in the media world, there's a lot. You're being pulled in a bunch of different directions throughout the whole week trying to cover the sport. So not having to worry about that while also trying to compete. And then, of course, to your point as well, being a team owner down the stretch as well should just help him in those roles, I would imagine.
And I also think about him in the Cars Tour. He's part owner in that. It gives him more time to focus on that as well. So, a bunch of different things that could be factored into this. I will say I'll miss him in the NBC booth. He brought a fun energy to it, I think. And I think that fan perspective, or at least having somebody who can analyze the sport, but also is there who's just a true diehard race fan was really fun. Obviously, right now, we don't know who will replace him. If anyone will replace him, who's going to be joining Dale Jr. in the booth for Prime or Discovery. We don't know any of that right now. But yeah, pretty interesting. I did want to mention this. Adam in the comments, Bubba Pollard, I'm driving for Junior Motorsports in the number 88 at Richmond, making his Xfinity Series debut. That's really exciting. Another kind of short track king, I should say, jumping in on the NASCAR side of things, which is pretty cool. So there's that. I don't know if we have any.
Yeah, it's really cool. To see a guy that's been that successful in super late models across the country for so long, finally getting his chance to run a NASCAR Xfinity Series race is really, really awesome. And I know he was on the Bull Ring on Racing America thing. Bubba Pollard was, and he was talking about how he hadn't given up on that dream of running NASCAR, but he just kind of closed that chapter in his life, figured it was all said and done. And then all of a sudden gets a call out of the blue from Dale Jr. and Junior Motorsports to come run a race. And so he said just not expecting the call and it just coming out of nowhere made it even more rewarding for him that he just kind of assumed that possibility was done with. So really, really cool story. It'll be fun to see how he does.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it. It's really cool. I've seen him I've just gotten into more of the short track racing the past maybe half year, something like that. And he's always a driver that I've followed just because everyone's like, oh, you got to follow Bubba. He's pretty cool. And he's just so impressive. So I am really excited to see how he does at Richmond. I'm excited to be there to see it. So a few of us will be there from this group. So very excited about that. So yeah, I don't know. Before we go into Vegas, is there any motorsports news I want to throw to you guys that we haven't discussed, NASCAR, non-NASCAR, that you feel is worth discussing?
Ooh, Derek Kraus getting a shot in the Cup Series this weekend.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Derek Kraus getting a shot in Cup.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. HendrickCars.com also expanding their deal with Rajah Caruth from 10 races to the full season in trucks. That's cool too. That's pretty huge.
Very big deal.
Massive.
Rajah impressed me back at Atlanta last weekend. Just phenomenal being able all the car control and being able to follow with the rest of the Spire trucks with Purdy and Busch. It was just like poetry, and just being able to see his composure after the race too, just really strong, and he carries himself very well, and he's going to go far.
A lot of people don't understand how late into the game he got into this thing. And it was virtual racing in his teenage years. Usually you're racing cars, real life cars, for about 10 years by the time you get to the age he started virtually racing. So the fact that he's as good as he is now and just how big the potential is there is pretty impressive.
And having that endorsement from Mr. H and his companies, that's big.
It's big.
Huge.
Yeah. For sure. Speaking of HendrickCars.com, Hendrick Motorsports drivers are going to take turns in the number 17 in the Xfinity Series, starting on March 9th at Phoenix with William Byron. I know Larson's going to run COTA, Chicago. Bowman talked about running New Hampshire. What everyone else is running in the rest of that schedule, what that looks like, hasn't fully been announced yet, I don't believe. But another instance of HendrickCars.com kind of expanding a little bit too.
We've also got Boris Said returning. He missed the Charlotte Road race last year. He'll be running Sonoma, so he'll get the redo, which is cool. It'll be fun to see and see how he does in a top tier ride if the axle hangs in there this time around.
Yeah,
I think he's running Sonoma. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sonoma.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Excited.
I think Chase Elliott's running Darlington, one of the Darlington races.
Okay.
And I can't. He's got 2 on his schedule, but I remember Darlington
He's
being
running
one.
Charlotte as well.
I was
Charlotte,
Byron
that
was
was
in Watkins Glen too, right? I think Byron had Watkins Glen.
Byron has Watkins Glen. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he has one of the Darlington races as well.
Yeah.
So one will do the spring, the other the fall.
Sweet.
It's kind of cool though to see that 17 car getting a lot more track time too. Just cool.
Yeah.
Here we go. I have the list. So Byron's in it at Phoenix, Darlington Spring, Pocono, and Watkins Glen. Larson is at Coda, Chicago Street Course. Elliott is at Charlotte and Darlington Fall. Orsted, Sonoma, and Bowman at New Hampshire. Those are all the confirmed dates.
Nice.
So
like we kind of saw last
Byron
year,
getting a lot of
kind of adding things, so you never really know. But
yeah,
that's kind of where we're at right now. It's a pretty decent schedule for a part-time Xfinity team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. Cool. Well, Dom, this is where I'm going to throw it to you.
Oh
as we start to preview Vegas.
This is when you want to take notes, Toby, since you haven't made your picks for this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
So these stats could work out, they could not, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm going all in. I think Dom knows who he's talking about.
I do a lot of number crunching as my notebook suggests. I'm obsessed with numbers and trying to make them all mean something. So crunched a lot of numbers for Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400. All the stats I pulled were for the spring race alone, just so we can make it. This is who does the best when we come here in the spring, not for the playoff race, because obviously a whole different atmosphere in the fall for the playoff race. So everything you're going to see is based off of spring stats. And this is what the stats tell us. And it is that Brad Keselowski is statistically the favorite to win the Pennzoil 400. In 15 starts, he's got 2 wins in 2014 and 16. These were both with Penske, obviously. 6 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 2 pole positions. He's led 240 laps, led the most laps once, and has an average finish of 13.1. The one thing right away you'll notice, the whole top 6 is all previous winners of the spring race at Las Vegas. That obviously helps them out a lot based on the weighted average that I did. Kyle Larson, he has the best average finish among these guys with an average of 9.2 in 10 starts. His lone win came in 2021 in a dominant performance in his first year with Hendrick Motorsports. He's led 193 total laps in the spring, 5 top 5s, 2 top 10s. In third place, we've got the 2-time winner, Joey Logano, went back-to-back in 2019 and 20. In 15 starts, he's got 5 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 2 pole positions. Most recently, last year, started on pole, but, I mean, all the Penske cars fell like a rock as soon as the green flag dropped last year. So I'm actually very intrigued to see what happens this year, because obviously this is a whole different animal compared to Daytona and Atlanta, where Ford has very much proven that they've got insane super speedway speed when they're out there by themselves, at least. But he's led 352 laps, so more than the rest by far. But he does have 1 DNF, and that was last year. So again, we'll just have to wait and see what Penske brings to the table. And an average finish of 10.5. In fourth is Martin Truex Jr., the 2017 winner. He has 18 starts to his credit, with 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s. So not necessarily his best racetrack, but certainly not his worst. He's led 175 laps, led the most laps in 2017 when he took the victory. He's completed 4,834 laps in the spring race alone. So he has a lot of experience on this track.
Dog.
Average finish of 11.7. Yes, Ben. He's got a very good chance this weekend.
Dog, man.
He's got that dog.
Well, we'll see if the new Camry body can bring them a little bit extra speed this year. In fifth is the hometown hero, Kyle Busch, who only has 1 win in 19 starts in the spring race. So the home track hasn't been terribly kind to him.
2008?
2009.
Ah, that's right.
2009. He's got 9 top 5s, so he's come very close. One extra top 10 there. He's got 3 pole positions, and in over 4,600 laps completed, he's only led 301. So he's not necessarily always up there leading laps, dominating the races. He does have 2 DNFs as well, with an 11.8 average finish. In 6th is our defending winner, William Byron, who's only got 6 starts, but he's our defending winner. He's got 2 other top 5s and a top 10. He dominated last year. Dominated. 230 laps led the most laps, has an average finish of 13.2. Now, the rest of these guys got in based on their stats alone, not off victories. Denny Hamlin, he's got 18 starts with 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 102 laps led, 4,700 laps completed. He does have a DNF, but has an average finish of 13.2. Christopher Bell, in 4 starts, has a top 5, 2 top 10s, and pole position. He's led 32 laps, but he's got an average finish of 13.7. These guys are very, very consistent here in keeping their car clean. Ryan Blaney started on pole position back in, I believe, 2018 when he first moved over to Penske. 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. Has 1 DNF, which kind of hurts him, but has a 13.8 average finish. And then lastly is Austin Dillon, who has 11 starts, 2 top 5s, has only led 5 laps, but has completed nearly 3,000 laps and has a 15.8 average finish. When I looked at his numbers, and what really made sense why he landed in the top 10 is the guy finishes the races and is always knocking on the door of a top 10. So the stats say he's due for one finally to get himself back in the groove and get his season turned around, because it's already off to a rough start for that 3 team. But I've got confidence in him. The stats have confidence in him to at least bring it home in the top 10. And that is what I have. That's what the stats say the top 10 should be. The last 2 weeks, we haven't come close, but at least that's what the numbers say. And I'm always going to go with the numbers.
And you brought this up too, but I think the big story going into this weekend is this is the first time we're really going to see in a quote unquote normal situation what the new Ford and Toyota bodies are going to do.
Yes. Yeah, so, absolutely. I think we really don't get practice anymore.
Yeah.
So I really think the first 20 to 30 laps of the race is going to tell us what they're working with. I was shocked last year when the green flag fell and all the Penske cars fell to the back.
Yeah.
And that was just on outright pace. They just didn't have it. So this will be a very telling race to see where we're at. Hendrick has won this race the last 3 years with Byron, Bowman, and Larson. They're looking to go 4 in a row and get Chase in there. He's the only one that's missing the win. He could very well do it. He wasn't in this race last year. This is when everything went down with his injury. So you've got to believe redemption is on his mind, and wanting to absolutely guarantee his spot in the playoffs as early as possible. And I know his fans are begging for one too.
Yeah. For sure. Any predictions from anybody this week, and even too, like across the board for trucks, Xfinity as well?
I think we've had 2 weeks of Chevys winning. They've got the oldest car in the field. They've not done any upgrades on their car. I think they do the same thing that the Penske cars did last year that you're talking about with the older Ford last year. I think they fall to the back. I think we see Ford and Toyota dominate this thing. If I'm picking, I think Brad Keselowski wins. I like that pick already because he's done so well at Las Vegas over the years. RFK Racing last year took a huge step forward, and he's been knocking on the door. Hasn't quite gotten that win yet. Chris Buescher's gotten 4 wins already in the last couple of years. So I would be surprised if it's not Keselowski. Just me. I really feel like it's Keselowski's weekend.
And I looked at his numbers too, and I reminded myself, well, a lot of the good stuff was with that Penske team. But like you said, RFK has turned a corner. And it's not only, all the good stuff was with Penske, but man, they've got great momentum right now. He was in the mix last week. They've got confidence. I know it didn't work out for them, but they've got confidence. I think good momentum could help lead them in the right direction. But again, it's just, I Can't wait for the first 20 laps to see what we're working with these new cars. Are they going to be that much better than Chevy, or has Chevy really just gotten a hold of everything? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and Brad is due for a win. I believe on the broadcast they said over 100 starts now without a win.
I think it's right at 100 now.
Right at 100 now? Yeah. So he's due. It's just a matter of where he can get it done. I will say in my preseason predictions, I said that Brad Keselowski would get his first one of the season, not on a super speedway track. So maybe this is it. Maybe I'm right. I'd like to be right. I'm usually not. But we'll see. I don't know.
If it comes to rain, Taylor's
Usually not.
about a shoe in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting prediction, Toby. I like the idea of, I think maybe Toyota and Ford has the advantage this weekend. Quite honestly, maybe they do.
Yeah, you only make changes to your car for one reason. You want to improve it. So if they aren't improved compared to the Chevys, that'll be a big concern, I would imagine, going forward. Now, obviously, you can still round things into shape, but it took Ford about till mid-season last year to really start finding something in that older Mustang. And then ultimately they won the championship, but it took till about the midway season for them to find something.
I do want to talk about Xfinity real quick, just to highlight. One, Riley Herbst, obviously he got his first Xfinity Series victory at Las Vegas in the fall. I would like to see him do well. And then Haley Deegan, another driver, she made her Xfinity Series debut at Vegas, did very well. Hoping this is a better weekend for her. She's had some pretty bad luck to start her Xfinity Series full-time career. So I would like to see her do well, see how she does kind of with a baseline performance that's not at a super speedway type of track. So that's at least in storylines that I'll be looking at in Xfinity.
Just bring it home clean and give us a respectable finish. We're not asking for a win.
No, right.
And you can't win it in first turn either. So
that's fair. Certainly lose it though.
The pay window does not open until lap 200. Bring it on home.
Yeah.
I will give Ben a little bit of love here with the Cup race, and it's that we've seen in recent years, like last year, 21, I think about 18, 17, the guy that wins the race dominates the Vegas race. And there's someone that loves to stink up the show and win races, and that's Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah.
So if the trends stay the way they are, I'd like that 19 car as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So fingers crossed for you, Ben. Maybe Truex can get it done. You never know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Ben, very quiet, very just
not
one to showboat at all.
Yeah.
No, not anymore.
It's Vegas. Doesn't want to show his cards.
Exactly.
There you go.
I am practicing for when I go out there in April. I have to do $5 blackjack.
Love it. Well, we'll be on social media all weekend long, keeping you updated on the race weekend. We'll be posting some more stats, some more stories, all of the above. So to keep up with us, of course, make sure to check us out at tobychristie.com for all your NASCAR news. And then, of course, to keep up with the ATYL content, all of our social media stuff, go to AboveTheYellowLine.com. Check us out there. And then, of course, check out our podcast, Above the Yellow Line podcast.
Those logos, man.
I know there's so many logos. I really need to fix this graphic, but I was like, you know what?
Castbox.
My ADHD is killing me right now. I am really trying to focus in on one logo, and I can't do it.
We're on all podcasting platforms.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're inevitable.
What is it? Yeah, we're Thanos. That's just who we are. You know.
Did I sign your podcast up for that many platforms? My gosh.
That's what I thought. You're like, it's signed up for all these. I'm like, okay, we need to check in on that. But mostly just like, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's a good solid bet as to where you can find Above the
Yeah, I didn't even know there were some of those available. What were those?
I don't know.
Dashes and circles and all sorts of stuff. I don't know what any of those things were.
Polygons, octagons, hexagons. Oh my!
All
the
shapes,
Rhombus
letters,
podcasting platform.
We're on a lot of them. Check us out. And then, of course, social media. Find us at Toby Christie.com on all social media platforms and at Above the Yellow Line, or, our handles are all on the screen as well as to where you can find us on your social media platforms. But from myself, Ben, Adam, Dom, and Toby, thanks so much for joining us. I can't talk anymore. Have a great night and have a great race weekend. Oh my God.
That's what I do.
We'll catch you all later. Bye.